Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 662 of Cognitive Dissonance. And Cecil.
Yeah.
Merry immediately after Christmas, my friend.
Immediately after Christmas. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It feels good to be back in the studio.
It's been a while.
It's been like, it's like 3 weeks in a row. I don't think we were not able to get together in studio for
we are
reasons.
On the cusp of a new year. This will release. This show will
Is this
release,
the first 2023 show?
the first show of 2023. Predictions for this year, Tom.
Oh, boy.
I got a prediction.
Okay, you start, buddy.
Andrew Tate's going to get arrested.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Fuck that guy. That guy is going to fucking rot in a Romanian prison.
Can there
Fuck
be
that
nothing
guy.
more predictable than Andrew Tate getting arrested for human trafficking?
There is, you know what? And I mean this in all seriousness. There is a sense that the world might start turning itself right again in some ways. You know what I mean? Like the January 6th Commission recommended that charges be filed.
Sure.
The Department of Justice filed. Andrew Tate has been arrested for being the dirtbag rapist piece of shit that he is in Romania.
Yeah.
That has got to be a rough time.
Yeah.
That's got to be. Look, prisons in the U.S. are rough times.
You're going to put those kickboxing skills
To the test.
Speaking of which, he got fucking super dunked on by Greta Thunberg this week.
My God, did he ever.
So good. He tweeted at her his picture of his Bugatti saying it got crappy miles to the gallon and he has 33 cars or something like that. And she just said, he said, let me know where I could tell you more about him. And she said, send them all to smalldickenergy.com or something. It was amazing. It was amazing. And he just he just ate one.
He did.
Then he had
his only response to that was, how dare you?
Yeah, but
and then he gets arrested today.
The how dare you is mocking her because she said that while she was on stage years ago. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, but that's like so not a mock at all.
I know.
That's so weak.
It's super weak. But in any case, a bunch of his apologists were all like, wait, did she say she had a small dick? Because that's the place where you're saying. I'm like, okay.
What?
Yeah, man. That's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on the fact that like you're trying, it's like when somebody's trying to save something, it's like when they start to jog that they got tripped. You know what I mean? It's like one of those moments.
That's exactly this. It's one of those you're trying to make yourself not look like a fool. Like when I was real heavy and I would walk up a half a flight of stairs and I'd pretend to yawn so nobody could see me struggling to catch my breath, you know?
Or you wear a shirt at the pool.
Right, yeah. You're like,
I like wearing a shirt.
I just don't want to get a sunburn.
I sunburn so
easy. I'm Irish. I don't want to get a sunburn.
I want to wear a shirt wherever I go.
Ding dong, you're my favorite car. I want you to take on my face and take a drink on my chest. Yeah.
All right, so we've got to, we should talk real quick because this is crazy. We made fun of on our show, I don't remember if it was the live stream or the main show, but we made fun of those stupid fucking Trump NFTs. It was main show.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He's sold out.
Well.
How do you sell out? First of all, how do you sell out of digitally fake scarce things?
Yeah, I don't know. But I think you could also say you sold out too. It's how do we know, right? That's a number one. How many were there? We don't know. They said there's 40,000 of them, right? So they said that of the NFTs, there was 40,000 of them. And supposedly he plagiarized them.
Yeah.
So
a bunch of the images were Shutterstock images and other things.
But in any case, you're right. He did sell them out. But here's the thing though, Tom. Of all the things Trump supporters did in the past several years, is buying NFTs the dumbest thing they did?
It is so in character.
It's like 100% in character.
This is perfectly in character.
Probably not the dumbest thing they did, right?
Right.
Probably not the dumbest thing they did. And buying NFTs, that's seriously that's Terry Schiavo level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's brain
level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really genuinely.
There's nothing there.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
But even still, that's probably not the dumbest thing they believed or did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just when we saw them, I thought, and I keep thinking this, and I'm just gonna like shame on Tom. I keep thinking like, all right, now that's a little far. Like they're so egregiously awful. They were so ugly and so tacky and so tasteless and so pandering. Like whatever your adjective of disgust that you want to use, it was all of those.
The absolute ridiculousness of him being like, this is my time in my career. And you're like, fucking astronaut in their home.
Right.
Like, ain't nothing you ever did. Period.
This is me in my ranching wear. It's like, dude, there isn't a horse alive that could carry you. There is not a horse alive.
He's never been anywhere that could feasibly be even relatable to that. I don't think in his life.
No.
You know,
that man's never had a callus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like there's never been a single callus on that man's hands. Not one day of manual labor has he done in his life.
Absolutely right. And when I heard the next day that they were sold out, I was like, you know what? That kind of doesn't surprise me.
Man, I did have hope that was just a bridge too far. That was just a stupidity too far.
It's funny though, because the initial push I saw from the right was, it is a bridge too far.
Right, and that's why I thought, like, because even
Steve Bannon was like, this is a cash grab.
Right.
It's a blatant cash. I can't believe he's doing this. And you're like, if Steve Bannon won't hold your nuts anymore.
Right.
Then you're in deep shit, because if Steve Bannon won't carry your jock and hold your nuts as Donald Trump, then I don't know where you are anymore. Who's going to back you up now?
Evidently 40,000 sales of stupid fucking digital baseball cards.
I mean, again, I don't know, Tom, I just sold 40,000 NFTs. How are you going to find out?
I know, right? Yeah, I did too. I know what I just did too. Let me check.
Like, I don't know how true it is.
Oh, my analog watch says I did. Yeah.
But, he said a lot of stuff that was a blatant lie. So I have no idea.
That is the only true thing right there.
So it's what he said or what they said or what the company said. So I don't know.
Well, let's talk about this story because it's fucking upsetting. This story comes from ProPublica.org. They called 911 for help. Police and prosecutors used the new junk science to decide they were liars. So, Cecil, I grabbed this story because you remember that forensic science deep dive.
Yeah, we did a whole deep dive on forensic science, and how most of it's junk.
Like a crazy, wild...
A lot of it. Stuff you thought was real.
Like
is
fingerprint analysis. Yeah. We, the more you dig into any of this stuff, the more you realize that we're sending people to prison on scientific evidence that is just... nothing. It's just nothing at all.
The difference between some of the stuff we covered in that and this is, at least that stuff seems believable. This is garbage from the start.
Yeah, man.
I cannot wrap my head around the idea that someone can listen to a call, just listen to a call, right?
Right.
Like a lie detector test requires a bunch of stuff, and that's bullshit too, right?
Right.
Lie detectors, bullshit. It's not real, but at least they're measuring things, and they can look at you, and there's more than one sense.
It is at least science adjacent.
Yeah, there's more than one sense at least that they are able to tap into. In this, you're literally talking to someone on a phone or listening, not even talking to them. You don't even get a chance to ask them questions. This is a recorded phone conversation that they are then, after the fact, listening to, and then making a decision based on how the person reacted in a very distressful moment, probably one of the most fraught moments of their entire life.
Yeah, so the whole article goes into this idea that there is a burgeoning, and they go to pains to say this is not science.
Yeah.
And it's not even
close to
presented.
You're right, it's not even science adjacent. It is fucking dowsing on a phone, man.
Yeah, man. It for real is.
You know what? Dowsing actually has more than one sense. I can't even, I can't put
There's no analog.
There's no analog, man.
It's
not cold reading, because in cold reading, I might be able to get something. It's not even that.
Yeah, this is like sending people to prison based on reading their aura in a Reiki massage.
Yeah.
It's fucking unreal. So there are prosecutors that are using this bullshit 911 call analysis where they listen to, they purport to send the call to some analyst who listens to the call and then says, oh, I listened to the call and I detected, that they're lying in the call because they seemed too stressed or not stressed enough, or they used the wrong words or terminology.
Yeah.
Like they
used the word blood instead of bloody or something.
Right.
Like
it's just outlandish nonsense that none of which is backed by anything. And then the most egregious thing, I think, it's all egregious, but one of the things that really galls me when I read this article is the prosecutors know this isn't science, and that they can't enter it into testimony as science. So they enter into testimony as something else other than science, but then they couch all of the language in the questioning around it so that jurors will believe that this is a real thing. When this is the magic of tea leaves, man. There's nothing there. And people are going to prison. Their lives are being ruined forever on nothing.
People too are being confronted with this. One of the major things that I think the police departments are trying to say is, this is being used in conjunction with other evidence. That's one of their contentions was it's being used but it's like, it's not evidence, right? It's someone's fucking like mental, like, it's fucking Karnak holding a fucking envelope to your head. It's ridiculous in its level of should not even be allowed in a court. But even still, you're poisoning a jury when you put somebody up there who looks and pretends like they are an actual expert. And this is something that I think we need to change in the narrative when we talk about law enforcement. We need to change the narrative that they are experts because they are not experts. It's been shown time and time and time again that all these things that they pretend are real and they pretend are hard science are not science. The fingerprint analysis, the blood spatter analysis, the insect bite analysis, all this stuff that they say is like a hard science is all just bullshit. It's fucking feng shui. It's fucking it's a Rorschach test or whatever.
It's nothing.
Bullshit. And we have this thing where we have a lot of police like television shows that reinforce this, that make it seem like the police have like 100% certainty on things. They look at something, 100%, I'm certain. And it always, it's reinforced constantly that they are experts. And that narrative needs to be turned on its head because they are not experts. They're bad at solving cases. They're actually not good
They're real bad
at solving cases, right? They're good at convictions because what they do is they convince people to plea. And that's what's happening here is that people are seeing, you know what, that's a lot of fucking evidence against me, even though I didn't do anything, right? My lawyer's saying, you better take this plea deal because you know what's going to happen to you. If they find you guilty, you're going to wind up in a prison forever, or you can take a manslaughter deal. And people are pleading down after being threatened with this stuff.
Yeah, and like one thing you said that I just wanted, it's absolutely right. The police are saying we're using this in conjunction with other evidence. And it's like, this isn't evidence.
It's not evidence.
This isn't an evidence. You don't get to put this in the bucket with the evidence. You put this in the bucket called inadmissible nonsense. This is junk. This is not. The problem too is that when you go in front of a jury, as soon as you as the defendant, as soon as you sit down, the entire weight of the state is allied against you. The jury files in and they see somebody who has been arrested and is here. All of the deck is stacked against you from the minute that opening proceeding begins. The idea that we actually psychologically and emotionally believe that someone is innocent until proven guilty has been shown time and again to be false. What they show time and again is that as soon as somebody sits at that defendant's table, they have to not prove that they're guilty, but the defendant has to prove that they are innocent. And the more shit that the prosecutors can drag up there that is expertise adjacent, that shows this idea. Like you said, you watch CSI whatever, and the cops are showing up and they're shining fucking special lights on shit and they're, taking a fucking test tube and looking at it thoughtfully as they turn it upside down in a lab and none of that's anything. Like there's DNA and then there's everybody else is lying about it. That's it. It's all fucking, it's a bunch of nothing, but they get to put it all in the same bucket and pretend that it's real. And it's pseudoscience, man. It's science made up. A lot of these guys went to upstairs discount weekend medical forensic college. They have weekend certificates in nonsense. That's the level of education that these guys have in a lot of this stuff. It's not like they have 4-year degrees. I listened to a podcast the other day called Proof, where somebody got on the stand and they said they had a master's degree in, I'm gonna get it wrong. They said they had a master's degree in forensic science stuff from St. Louis University. And then the journalists were like, that school doesn't offer a master's in forensic. What they had was
George Santos who said that?
What the guy had was a master's certificate for a weekend course.
Jesus Christ, dude.
That was taken and not even proctored by the university, but was held at the university.
Lord.
And this guy got fucking convicted of a murder that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Got convicted of a suicide is what happened. Like if you listen to Proof, it's an interesting true crime podcast. These two guys get convicted of a suicide as a murder.
Yeah, well, and that's that happens in this story too, where a baby dies and then the mom has to plead because they have evidence that they want to, and this is stacking up against them. You're talking about the idea that no one who sits in that chair is, people already think they're guilty. Mm-hmm. Think about how many people said Adnan was guilty.
Right.
Do you remember all the people, everybody that you talked to, everybody I talked to, certainly in the skeptic circles, were all like, oh yeah, that guy did it. He totally did it. He totally did it. And I'm just like, are you serious? I listened to that whole show and I did a little reading on it and I was like, I can't imagine a jury convicting him.
Same.
Because even if, I'm not saying that somebody is blameless, right? I'm not saying he's innocent, but what I am saying is that
there's reasonable doubt.
You didn't have the evidence to put him in jail.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
Yep.
And tons of people were saying, no, man, he's guilty. Like they're not just saying maybe he did it. They're saying he's guilty.
Yep.
And so think of that. And that's just somebody who's listening to a podcast, man. That's all that is. Yep. That's just a dude listening to a podcast. So think about that. And that's an uphill battle that they have to climb every single time. This is also, these are people who are in a distressful moment in their life. Like this is a very distressful moment. And they're calling and then they're analyzing this. We talk about this when the police show up and they make a mistake and they shoot someone, right? They make a mistake, right. The guy at a fucking hero sandwich or whatever.
I know, yep.
And we have to be, when we're stopped by the police, 100% perfect. Because if you're not, you're gonna get murdered. And when you talk to them on the phone during a very difficult time, you have to be 100% perfect. Because if you're not, that might be used against you as, it's like everything has to be so perfect for the citizenry, but we never hold the police up to that same level.
You're exactly right.
Not a single time. Not a single time do we do that.
Yeah. When it's the police, it's, oh, I was scared. When it's the police, it's, well, we can't second guess how somebody would respond in a stressful, dangerous situation. We don't want to armchair quarterback, but we are armchair quarterbacking every lay person who's ever called 911. Have you ever been in a really stressful situation and had to call for help?
Yeah.
When that happens, a lot of people get really calm.
Yeah.
That's a really common response.
I had an experience on the L, and I talked about it on the show once, where a woman went into seizures.
I remember this.
And I just immediately took charge of the situation. I told somebody to press the button for the train. I told somebody to call 911. I reached down and someone was like, put something in her mouth. And I held the crowd back from putting things in her mouth. I picked her head up and I held her head. And I was like there was a whole bunch of stuff that just went through my head. I was like, this is all got to be done. And no one is doing it, right? So someone has to do it. I'm going to do it. And so I just did it. But I was really calm the whole time. As soon as she left, dude, it was a huge adrenaline dump. As soon as she she was got sat up, I was just like, because my body was finally like, okay, now you can do something. Now you can freak out, but you can't freak out until then. And think about what it's like to find a dead loved one. And your body's just like, I've got to do something about this. And I've got to do something about this right now. And your body, if you just let it do the thing it wanted to do, you're going to break down. Yeah. But you got to do the thing, you know what I mean?
I do. I do. Yeah. And if the opposite, here's the thing, is if you see something distressing and you react in this big emotionally effusive way, that's understandable. If you don't, that's also understandable. And everything along the continuum is understandable too. If, like you said, if you don't react and then you get overwhelmed as time goes on and as the police show up and as these different stressors come into the equation, pretending that there is a right way and that responses outside of this norm, there's no norm. What the problem with all this science is they never establish controls. All of these forensic sciences, they work to do the same bullshit anomaly hunting nonsense.
Exactly it. Exactly right.
Where they're like, well, this is anomalous. And you're like, what's your control? Yep. What's your standard? How is it defined? What testing did you do to make sure that was experimentally? None of that, because this is in science. There's nothing scientific about it except for they show up with ghost hunter tools, man. That's all it is. It's this scientific-ish stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where they go to Radio Shack. Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. I'm old. They go.
It's so old that that's on Stranger Things.
God, I feel so embarrassed by that reference right now. All right, they go to service merchandise. Hear me out.
One of the characters is a guy who works as and you're like, Radio Shack, I remember that place.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, they go get their fucking bebobs and bits and bobs and fucking.
They go to the buggy whip factory.
Yeah. You know what? They got their circuit boards and their, transistor tubes. But you know what I mean? They build these fucking orgone generators and other bullshit.
I do.
It's all bullshit.
It's all a lie.
Just because it lights up or beeps or like you can shine a light on it, it looks a different color, or you say like, oh, I can hear the stress patterns in the voice. Fuck you. Yeah. How about this? Fuck you. Yeah. No, you can't.
Yeah. How about no? And then we start from, instead of coming to your conclusion and working backwards, let's do science for real.
Right.
Let's do science for real one time when it comes to people's freedom for their whole life.
Like, can we actually just take a high school level science class where you learn what science is as an experimental process? And that's it. We don't have to get past the first semester of high school fucking pick a class. Biology, chemistry, physics. I don't give a shit. Yeah. They'll all teach you the basic. These guys don't run through the basics.
They don't even have the basics. You're right. And when they talked about the methodology in this particular study, they were saying like it's mostly done in one state. Most of the calls come from the same state.
Yep.
Most of them, over 2/3 of them were white people, right? So, when you have a study that's only 100 calls, 66 of them are from white people, all these problems with the methodology. Yes. Yep. And anybody who is anybody looks at this like it's crazy talk. But what's insane is that it gets sent out by the FBI, who have been perpetrators of bullshit for so long.
The FBI loves pseudoscience.
That bullet analysis garbage that they threw out years ago, and they're still using.
The fucking murder profiling, all that shit.
Profiling, that's bullshit.
It's all fake.
And then you talk about this. This is all bullshit.
Yep.
It's like, and this is sent out by the FBI. And, there's part of me that wonders, why is it that law enforcement is so fucking easy to dupe and so easy to sort of set this up and get one over on? And I think there's a couple of reasons. One, they're desperate, I think, to try to solve cases, right?
Yeah,
so I think
there's a lot of motivation in there.
Desperation and motivation, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. But I also think there really seriously is some sort of nepotism that gets people in the door to make the money for these extracurricular classes that they have to take, that they do as extras for the police to learn trainings.
Yep.
There's always, and I'm not saying that it's a kickback money. I'm just saying like there's somebody there who's like a friend of a friend. Hey, can you get my buddy in? And there's tax dollars are paying for it.
All these industries are connected
for it. So why don't we just see if we can get my friend in here, and he knows somebody, and he knows a guy who knows a guy who can get him in as a deputy over here, and then he can teach his stupid class to people who aren't maybe all that critical anyway, and then they just believe it as a reality.
I think you're not at all wrong about that. I think back to when I worked at Circuit City 10,000 years ago, and I used to sell home theater junk. And you got to know all of the reps from all of the major retail, all the major electronic companies. They'd send their sales reps in to teach you how to sell their stuff. Yeah. You'd become friendly. You'd have lunch. The industries work like that. They interweave their vendors in with their people. I also think there's a huge, we said this before on the show, but I think it's a big fucking deal. I think there is a huge, huge problem in police departments where if you want to be a detective, instead of going to fucking be a detective college, you go to college or some college or whatever, and you work your way up.
Yeah, you're being
that's not good. That's bad. That is the wrong system. If you want to be a detective, you should go and be trained on what makes good evidence. And you should go and you should get a fucking investigative degree that is specific and deliberative, that is different than a criminal justice degree, if that's even required, which they often aren't even required.
If that's the case, then why doesn't every single teacher out there, like somebody who teaches in, like, say, college, start as like an administrative assistant in that college?
Right, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Why wouldn't that be
just
the case?
being a part of the
I'm
system's
just
enough.
part of the college, so I should be able to teach, right? That's how teaching works. No, nobody does that. And it doesn't work like that in almost anything.
Right.
It only seems to work like that with police officers.
That's exactly. You know, like if you're, teaching is a great example. If you're a teacher, you can't just say, well, I'm going to work my way up to principal. You have to go to school and get a different educational degree in order to be in administration.
Sure.
You can't just be like, I'm a great English teacher. I have a degree in English literature.
I'm an English teacher. I can run a school district.
Right.
I'll be a superintendent of schools.
It's nonsense. Yeah. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
But so, the thing is, like, a lot of these guys aren't educated. They're just not. They're guys that work their way up. They, School of Hard Knocks, bitter experience. That's what I got under my belt.
I've seen enough people lie to me. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how do you know?
Yeah, dude.
Like, you're
that's intuition,
that's
bro.
nothing.
And that's useless.
Yep.
It's literally useless.
And it's all of your biases. All of your
that's
biases.
all it is. It's all your biases come to life.
Yep.
It's all it is. And literally all this is, even in the article, they say it just screams confirmation bias.
Yep.
That's all it does. That's all it does. This is a horror, yet another horror dealt out by the FBI and inflicted on the people, the citizens of this country, by law enforcement to treat us like we don't have any rights.
Yep.
And that's exactly what this is. They should be making every effort to strive to get as scientific and as right as possible. They should always be making that error bar shrink. And what they do is don't give a fuck about the error bar.
They don't. And like you said earlier, what they want is the conviction.
That's it.
That's what they're working for. They're not working for the truth.
It's what makes
they're working for the conviction.
What gets their boss voted in.
Yep.
That's what gets their boss voted in, is how many convictions they have.
Because that's how they got their raise, man.
Conviction rate is real high in this country.
Yep.
80s. It's in the 80s. The murder rate, that solves below 50.
Yep. Yeah. Right.
They would have been glad to have you dead, for they thought they could then blame it all on the government.
All right, Cecil. So this is a little bit of levity. This comes from Uprocks. This is Trump claimed he's clairvoyant in an Unhinged Christmas Day post, because why not? So this is actually great because there are two tweets, and they're side by side. So there's President Biden's Christmas tweet, which I'll read. I thought it was good. I thought his Christmas tweet was a perfectly fine tweet. He said, "This Christmas season, my hope is that we take a few moments of quiet reflection to really look at one another, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as who we really are,
Look at each other in the eye.
fellow Americans."
Hard eye contacts with every fellow American you can find.
All right, so there's that. I thought that's a unifying message, right? Like, that's a fine message.
Yeah. Where's my student loan relief, fucker?
Donald J. Trump, Merry Christmas to everyone, including the radical left Marxists that are trying to destroy our country, the Federal Bureau of Investigation that is illegally coercing and paying social...
Hold on. Does a comma work there?
Which one?
The first one where he's like, our country, the Federal Bureau. Shouldn't that be like, what should that be? Like a semicolon? What should that be?
No,
there?
that's fine to have a comma because he's making a list, but then he should have a second comma after the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I see. Okay.
But he doesn't.
Got it.
So, or he could have it after social.
Or lamestream
to separate. Right. So,
I don't know.
Yeah, he's making a list, but he's not checking it twice.
Okay. It is a Christmas message after all. So.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation that is illegally coercing and paying social and lamestream media to push for a mentally disabled Democrat over the brilliant, clairvoyant, and USA-loving Donald J. Trump.
Who's the mentally disabled one? Is it Biden?
He's referring to Biden as being mentally disabled.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to this guy. He's clairvoyant.
Yeah, clairvoyant.
And USA-loving Donald J. Trump, and of course, the Department of Injustice, which appointed a special prosecutor, in quotes, who, together with his wife and family, hates Trump, in quotes.
Trump, womp, womp.
More than any other person on earth. Love to all.
It's got 2001 retruths, Tom.
Retruths. What in the shit is that message?
Well,
he's clairvoyant?
I mean, I think I think what he did was he went to look up what somebody who predicts things is, right? So he's saying, I can predict things, but he doesn't know that this is that's like a woo term or whatever, where...
Oh my God. Oh my God, I had no idea why the clairvoyant was in there. Also,
but he's trying to say he's prescient. He's trying to say, I can guess what's going to happen. This guy can't figure it out. I think that's what this comes down to.
Prescient would have been a way better word.
Prescient is a way better word.
Way better word. And I think it would have meant something that he was trying to mean. I also, this is just a great rule of thumb in life. If somebody refers to themselves in the third person, run as far and as fast as you can from that person.
Yeah. And if you can take a swing before you run, do that.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Take a swing beforehand and then run. So they can't follow you. That's the big key.
Or if it's Donald J. Trump, just speed walk a little and you'll get away just fine. You get away just fine. And I mean just a little. You get 12 steps ahead. That's all the space you need. You've opened up an unstoppable gap here that cannot be crossed.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he couldn't get away from Nick Fuentes when he came in. And Nick Fuentes doesn't look fast at all. So.
Gary.
What? Huh?
Gary, it's 30 seconds to midnight. Why are you singing Christmas songs?
I don't know. Christmas is way more fun than New Year's Eve.
Well, yeah, but at least we get presents?
No.
Food?
Not really.
Fireworks?
It's raining.
Man, fuck this holiday.
Well, no work at least.
Yeah, not us.
That's fucking true.
Got any New Year's resolutions?
More fucking.
That's what it was last year.
Yeah, I want more.
Okay.
Well, here comes the countdown. 10.
Oh, you know what countdowns make me think of?
What? 8.
Using code Glory and receiving free spicy movies, getting, 50% off almost any one item.
3.
Free gifts,
2.
free shipping.
1.
At AdamandEve.com. Happy Glory!
Here's the 2023 thumbs, and if anyone's interested.
Gary, no!
What? I mean, you should go to AdamandEve.com and use code Glory.
Okay, fine.
Or slide in my DMs.
Will you stop it?
Yes.
Okay, Happy New Year's, y'all.
3 thumbs.
Stop.
Oh, bravo, Captain Obvious.
So I grabbed this story, and this isn't the source I would normally go to, but this is actually like right from the horse's mouth kind of stuff, and I thought it was great.
An interesting perspective on this story.
Yeah. So this story comes from the Christian Post. So and this is not like we're monitoring what the Christians do. This is a Christian site.
Yeah,
like that's what they do. Good News Club. After school satanic clubs are a direct attack on teaching Christianity to children.
They sure are.
I was like, yep.
And what? And what? And what? But the thing is like, it's so funny because it's so leopards ate my face while you read through it.
Yes.
Because they're constantly like, and then they're trying to make Christianity sound weird. And it's like, yeah, man. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. And then they called it a myth. And you're like, yeah, man, it's a myth. You know, it's so funny.
I love this article.
I went to a Catholic university and I had Catholic priests as teachers, right? A couple of them, right? They referred, I only had them for religion classes. They referred to Catholicism as mythology.
Did they really?
They did in class, referred to it as mythology.
Really?
Yeah. We read a book called the Seven Myths of Religion, I think it was, or something like that. So like we read books that referred to Christianity as a myth. I had almost I cannot remember a single, I never was taught, even in a Catholic university, I was not taught that it was true. It was
really, it was just like, okay, so here's what Catholics believe.
Here's what Catholics believe.
Here's what Christians believe.
Yeah, but I took a lot of comparative stuff. So for me, it was, I did take a couple that were, like I took one that was called The Bible as History.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
And what was awesome was the guy was just debunking the whole Bible. I mean, he just debunked the whole thing. He just sat in front of the class and just said, no, there's no way that could have happened. No, that's not this.
Yeah,
that's not this. Because it doesn't make any sense. And he went on to he's like, yeah, this
try to contextualize this in history. It can't have happened.
This is not how this happened or any of that stuff. So they just debunked the whole Bible. But yeah, like I had a bunch of classes like this. Even at like high level Christianity isn't teaching it as if it's
right.
So but you can tell the bent that's in here is that they are very upset that there's these satanic good news. Are they good news clubs? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, good news clubs.
The satanic group is basically saying, look, we're trying to get in these schools, and they admit it on Fox News and other places. They admit we're trying to get in these schools because we want people to realize how bad it is to teach one religion over another religion.
They're
that's literally
really transparent about it.
And they're telling people out loud that's why we're doing it. And they're mad because they're getting press.
Yeah, well, they're mad that they're getting because it's getting press, and they're mad that it's working.
Yeah.
They're so, like, what I loved about this article is these guys are just like, look, we're supposed to be the ones in school indoctrinating children.
What are you talking about?
And they're making it seem like we're in schools indoctrinating children.
It's the best, dude.
And it's like,
it is so leopards ate my face.
You can't hear you in this room together.
It's so good. Numb, the whole article. I was reading it just smiling.
It's so funny.
You can't read this as a secular person and not smile.
It's great.
I dare you to read this article and not smile.
Say, man.
You can't not smile and think, oh, you poor sweet summer child. Oh, this is the best.
Your Honor, the city timed this police action to catch my client exercising his constitutionally protected right to religious freedom.
This story comes from AP News. State lawsuits defend abortion access with religious freedom.
Similar. This is another.
I felt like it dovetailed nicely.
Dovetail, yeah.
So, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is clearly motivated by a specific type of Christian religiosity. When they talk about it, even when the justices talked about it, they talk about the morality around the issue of abortion, and they are absolutely taking on a certain fundamentalist read of Christianity, as if that's the only religious belief system that intersects with abortion and the rights of women and rights of reproduction.
Right.
And so they overturn Roe v. Wade, and then these states are like, great, we're going to be awful, monstrous, patriarchal dickheads, and we're going to restrict women's access to their own bodily autonomy. And so a bunch of folks, particularly Jewish people, have come out and said, wait a minute, what about my religious freedom? In my religious freedom, we don't believe that the unborn are alive. We actually believe religiously, we have a faith tradition that's actually older than your faith tradition.
In fact, your faith tradition is built on ours.
Right. You're the fucking sequel, motherfucker. We're the fucking prequel up in this bitch.
We're fucking OG. Fuck out of here. You're absolutely right. And what I like is that they aren't framing it around the child.
Right.
They are framing it around the woman. They are saying our religion is forcing us to pay attention to the woman in this equation, period. It is not forcing us to pay attention to anything else.
Yep.
So we're not even talking about anything else in this equation, period. So that's not, there's nothing that comes in besides what is in front of us. Now, once something else comes into the picture, then we can have any kind of discussion that we want.
Yep.
But I'm only dealing with what is in front of me, what is obvious and in front of me. And that's why religion tells me to do. And, we talk about, how monstrous this is. And it is monstrous. It's across the country. So many different states had these on-off switches already in place, ready for Roe to be overturned. They were ready to subjugate half our population on a moment's notice. They were ready to do it.
Yeah.
And
they had the fucking red smocks already.
Exactly. And the white bonnets, they were ready to go. And in some states like Indiana, they specifically planned to do something right away afterwards and did and succeeded, right? So they immediately did it, and they immediately brought it up to the legislators, and the legislators immediately passed it, and the governor immediately signed it. They wanted to get it done as soon as possible. And this happened in multiple states.
Urgent priorities
for
these
assholes.
assholes.
Super urgent, right? So it's a horror across the country, but we were sort of struggling. How do you deal with this? What do you do? How do you deal with this? Because it seems like, the way up is blocked, but the way up religiously might not be.
It might not.
Right? It might not be. It might be that the way to climb back up that mountain is to use the religion against them, to say it's, you say it's religious, but I'm saying it's religious for other people. And this suddenly turns it into, okay, we got this wrong because we chose one religion over another religion. We gave primacy to one religion.
This is going to create, at the very least, a position where there is no possibility for them to be honest with themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And now I don't think that will dissuade them, right?
Might
Because
not.
these
It
are
might
not
not.
these are not an intellectually honest people.
You're right. You're right.
But, it may be the case that some states, so some of this might not be done at the federal level. This might go to state Supreme Courts. And those state Supreme Courts may say, all right, you know what, that actually is true. And so if you are a member of ABC religion, or you are a member of any religious faith, then you can have access to this medical care because we can't restrict your access to care. We've seen similar things with some drug laws where some drugs like peyote.
You're right. Yeah.
It's like, well, all right, if you are part of this very specific group. Now, the difference with religion is there's a long-standing rule that the government can't question your faith. They can't say, well, you haven't been a Jewish person long enough, or you haven't believed in this thing. So we could, if that were the case, we could create a religion right now.
Sure.
Called the religion of I'm getting a fucking abortion, bitch.
That's a great religion.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you can't, the government really is in a bind with that stuff to say like, oh, because they have historically not been willing to say your religion doesn't seem real. We don't want to grant it like any kind of like rights of primacy because we don't believe it's reality, because that puts the government in a weird spot. That's how Scientology got recognized.
Right.
Scientology is fucking gobbledygook written by a fucking lunatic on a boat. Like that's nothing.
Yes.
Scientology is nothing.
Yeah.
It's a cult written by a fucking science fiction writer on a boat.
It's absolute
There's
garbage.
nothing.
It's absolute garbage. Yeah.
But it got pride of place, and it got a federal because the government's been unwilling to say. Same thing with Mormonism. That's nonsense.
It's nonsense,
like,
but
like it doesn't even have like the
got a loophole,
antiquity to
it's got
it.
some loophole to it, though. Yeah.
It does.
You're an intelligent, insightful human being who doesn't get the respect and attention that he deserves.
Wow. You really mean that, Jake? That's great, man, because I've always wanted to discuss with you the repercussions of the ramifications.
I actually gotta go, sorry.
Motherfucker.
This is another one of those that I grabbed where it is not a meta commentary, it's just the commentary itself.
Okay, so I got to close this off. Give me a second. Let me call this up because you got this. This is a great way to find these articles. I don't know if it was deleted, right? So I don't know if this was deleted or not, but you did find this at Web Archive, which is a great way to view these sorts of things because then you don't give Dennis anything.
Yeah,
This is from Prager's
Dennis
website.
Prager nonsense, right? So why many conservatives won't be with their children or grandchildren this Christmas. And so it basically says, look, isn't it a shame that a bunch of left-leaning young people won't spend time with their parents and are denying their parents access to their children, so their grandchildren, because of politics? And isn't that the cruelty of the left really in action to do that horror? And it's like, no, like your politics are your values.
Yeah.
That's what your politics are.
Yeah.
He seems to miss the point where if you have horrible values, then that will have repercussions and people won't want to spend time with you and they won't want to bring their children around your terrible values.
Yeah.
And he's so upset about this.
I think this needs to be reiterated every once in a while. This needs to be said out loud to people because I think people forget it. Your family, you don't owe them anything, okay? You don't owe any single member of your family a single moment of your time if you don't want to give it to them.
True.
Period. End of story, okay? They had you, if it's talking about your mom and dad, they had you, and if they were hoping to have a buddy for the rest of their lives, they bought into something that they might not actually get. There's a possibility you might not get a buddy for the rest of your life. If your parents are shitty, if they disowned you because you're LGBT or they dead name you if you're trans, all these things that parents do, these vindictive, shitty things that parents do to their kids. You don't owe your parents a single fucking second of your time. You don't owe your siblings a single second of your time, period. You make those decisions as you see fit. If you think they're worthy to be around them. But if not, go find a chosen family. Go find people who love you and reciprocate that love. You don't feel forced to dig your heels in and make your family work if it doesn't, period.
Yep. I couldn't possibly agree more. There's so many people, and we know it. There's so many people that struggle with the holidays because they're forced into these terrible situations. And you're 100% right. And remember that when your parents had you, that created a responsibility for them.
For them. It's their responsibility.
Yes, all that responsibility flows in one direction.
Absolutely.
None of that responsibility flows back.
Not on me.
None of it.
Not on me, right?
Because who made the choice?
Yep.
They made a choice to create a life that they chose to be responsible for. You didn't make a choice.
Yeah.
That's it. So
they only have obligations to you, not the other way around.
Exactly.
They only have obligations to you.
Now, if you choose to have a mutually reciprocal relationship because you have a good one,
then that's great.
Then that's
awesome.
A relationship of choice.
And you can have different, there's even people out there in the world that have differing values than their family, and they have wonderful relationships.
Absolutely.
There's people out there that have different changed values than they normally do, or whatever, and that's fine. And that works for some people. It doesn't work for others, and that's okay too.
Yep. You get to pick. And no fucking whining by fucking Dennis Prager or your mom or your fucking grandpa or your uncle fucking Frank or whatever. None of that matters. None of it makes a fucking whit of difference. That's nothing. It's sound and fury signifying nothing.
60% of the roasts we get on Vulgarity for Charity are shitty parents who have been super shitty to their kids, or shitty stepmoms, or shitty brothers. It's mostly shitty family.
It's mostly shitty family.
Once in a while, you'll get like, hey, roast my buddy. He's got a weird haircut.
I got a bad boss.
But let me tell you, man, it's mostly my fucking dad is the worst. He dead names me.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, these are people you don't owe time to. You don't owe anything to.
Not a thing.
If anything, they owe you. And if they're not giving you something that you think you need to thrive, leave. Get away from them.
Be gone.
Get away from them. I left my brother. I have two brothers that I have not spoken to one since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Since the early 2000s, before my dad passed away. I haven't spoken to him since, and I have not missed him a second in my life. Not a second have I looked back and been like, maybe my life would be so different. No, fucking literally do not care at all.
Yep.
We burned both those bridges. Those bridges will never be built again, and I do not even for a second think about it at all.
Yep.
I have one loving brother.
Yep.
That's what I have. That's my family. That's the entirety of my family that's left. And I'm cool with it. I'm fucking 100% at peace with it. You need to find that peace. These people out here who try to make it work, you're just hurting yourself over and over and over again. Free advice. You can take it if you want.
Yeah, but I think it's good advice,
telling you,
man.
You're just going to keep on fucking hurting yourself, and you don't have to do it.
Yep.
If there's anything I'm passionate about, it's leaving your family behind.
I know, man.
If there's anything I'm passionate about.
Fuck, I'll raise my hand. 2001, I severed ties with my mother.
Yeah.
I've never thought about her
right? For a second.
Gone.
For a second.
My life only got better. My life only got better.
I'm a liar. A hypocrite. I'm afraid of everything. I don't ever tell the truth. I don't have the courage. When I see a woman, I blush and look away. I want her, but I don't take her for God, and that makes me proud. And then my pride ruins Magdalene.
This story comes from the BBC News. Pope condemns human hunger for wealth and power at Christmas Eve Mass. Says a guy who sits like on a golden throne as the head of an organization.
His wheelchair's made out of gold.
I mean,
is it made out of like? It's made out of like children's bones.
Yeah,
or something. What did he make it out of? It's like the Ark of the Covenant they carry him in on. He's got a leader, a palanquin. What do they call it? A palanquin? What are they filled with like children's slaves or whatever?
Holy shit.
He's got sex trafficked kids that are carrying him on their back.
Cover them in gold first. I shall not see any children not covered in gold.
And they're like dipping him in molten gold. No, it's fine. We don't like kids here anyway. Just fuck them up. It doesn't matter. Punch them first.
It doesn't. Who cares?
We like to tenderize them.
We've already used those little ones.
God damn, man. Are you shitting me? Get the fuck out of here.
I saw this and I was like, could there be a more tone-deaf thing to say?
I know, man.
As an organization drowning in centuries of wealth and power.
I am not the Catholic archdiocese or what is it, the Vatican marketing guy. But here, I'm going to start you guys out. If you guys listen, I know you guys are big fans of the show. So here's what I want you to start out. Here's what I want you to do next Christmas. I just have a 2-word message. We're sorry.
That's it.
Okay? That's your 2-word message. And you post it to all the people where you buried dead kids, where you killed the kids and then you buried them in the fucking yard outside, where your nuns tortured and killed kids and killed women who were pregnant, where you did that in like Ireland and all these places, and then where you raped all those kids and all over the world and all these different places where they're finding out about it in Germany and they're finding out about it in all these different little countries, and how different places all over the US erupted with allegations and how all those people were damaged. You just come out with a 2-word message next year. We're sorry.
Yeah. And you know what? If you follow it up with a fucking fire sale of literally all of your assets
stuff, and then
that you donate to those who need
charity,
it, then I'm good.
Then,
then you know what? Then finally I'll be able to say, all right, I believe your morals.
That's fine.
You know, until you give away your multi-billions of wealth, until you sell all your real estate, I mean, give it all away. You can't have any of it anymore.
From now on, the Pope flies coach.
That's it.
Pope flies coach.
Bitch rides economy.
Pope flies coach. The end. If that happens, then maybe.
You know what? He doesn't even get to pay the $49 extra to pre-board.
Yeah.
That's it. You're riding C group, bitch.
Actually, he's checked baggage.
In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
This story comes from ABC 7. This is our local news. Local news. ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Dun, 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 dun.
Everything should have a dun, 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 dun.
They really do, though. They're in Chicago. All of our news has like really dramatic stingers when they come.
It does.
They're really dramatic. Yeah.
Mark Meadows burned documents a dozen times during transition. Ex-White House aide told January 6th panel.
I predicted this when we were watching the January 6th thing. I predicted it, and I said, Meadows is going to jail, and you and I went back and forth. I really do feel like Meadows is going to go to jail. I feel like of all the people, he feels like the one that's the easiest to throw under the bus. He feels like the one that I think a lot of different people were throwing under the bus. Like if you look at all,
That's true.
When you talk about this and you look at this, all the testimony that should be swaying people on this, the reason why it should sway you is because these were all Republicans, right?
Right.
Like when they did this January 6th thing, they weren't reaching out to a bunch of Democrats who already hated Trump.
Right.
They were reaching out to Trump loyalists who were in the White House that day, or they were in power that day.
Right.
They were assigned to a thing.
Senior leadership.
These are not just small leaders. You're right. This is senior leadership. This is cabinet, small group. You're in the room with these people. Yep. This is big deal. These are big deal people. And they went out of their way to question all these people. And I would say unilaterally, everyone threw Meadows under the bus.
Yeah, man.
Unilaterally, everybody, even his like assistant was like, bus, and I'm on a bus, bitch, like, blah, blah, and they were fucking him up from the very beginning. You could feel that he felt like the sacrificial lamb from the very beginning, because if any of these people, you get Bill Barr sitting there, right? And he's given his testimony, and you think, where's your culpability?
Right.
And where are you? You should be the one advising the president, not just saying this is bullshit and crazy. You should be like, no, you need to stop this. And if you don't, I'm going to come out and resign today or whatever.
Yep.
Instead, he just kind of dealt with it until the very last minute, and then finally
pieced out on his own.
At the very end. But, where's your culpability? No, instead, I'm going to blame Meadows. And that's what's been happening since the beginning. And now here's another thing that comes out, and this came out with the testimony that came out last week. He's burning documents after meetings.
Man, I will add to what you were saying. I will add that also his is the only, Cassidy Hutchinson was his right hand.
Yeah.
I forgot what her title was, but she's basically his right hand. And
she's like his executive assistant or something.
And nobody else's right hand flipped on him.
No.
So that's damning.
Yeah.
That's damning. It's just such a one-to-one relationship.
It feels like of all the people, he was the one who was definitely where the shit was rolling down to.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Certainly the shit was rolling to Trump, right? They were trying to...
That's where it should go.
That's where they were mainly pointing. But they were always throughout pointing at Meadows as an enabler.
Man.
And they never once made it seem like he was ever against anything that Trump did.
No, not at all.
It makes you think, at least it makes me think, that he's probably going to go to jail.
He's going to fucking jail.
I think he's going to go to jail.
I agree.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
What the fuck documents are you burning? I know there is some minimal, very minimal amount of documents that do get burned. So incinerating documents it's not so much from what I've read, it's not a standard practice, but it is some documents are so sensitive that they are destroyed after reading. But that is like a fucking fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
Sure.
Like, it has to be something beyond, like,
it gets written down first.
You know,
it doesn't make any sense to be like, just.
I guess they don't want to like purple monkey dishwasher that shit, you know?
I guess, I don't know, yeah.
But like, also, I don't understand what the difference is between a document that has to be burned and a document that gets marked as ultra super duper classified national top secret.
Sure.
Like, those seem like documents that nobody should see. This seems like a document nobody should see.
Yeah.
Why is anything getting burned? What the fuck is getting burned? And I don't believe for a second that in the middle of this transition that you're like feeding the fucking incinerator all this, oh yeah, this is totally a legitimate fire.
Also,
a legitimate document fire.
Also, I want to say,
if it's a really legitimate fire, it has ways to stop it.
Ways to stop itself. If it also too, like if Cassidy Hutchinson knows about it, then she knows that you're burning documents. Like then she knows you had something that was like ultra secret, which would be a liability. So that doesn't make any sense, right? If she even knew about it, then it's a negative. So it doesn't make any sense. What it sounds like is that you're covering things up. Or you took a giant dump in the bathroom and you got to light something on fire and like wave that out of there so it doesn't smell anymore. Normally you just light a match, but Jesus, I mean, you got to burn a whole document.
It doesn't smell like shit in here. Now it smells like a top secret document fire. Anyway, actually still smells like shit. Turns out it's really indistinguishable.
Trump's lighting him and throwing him in the toilet. He's like, why aren't they burning? He's flushing the toilet and they got to call a plumber. It's a whole thing.
There has to be an element of the surreal when you're standing in front of a fucking incinerator and you're feeding your lies and bullshit into it. And you're like, oh, I gotta not go to prison. I have to be like, you know what? I'm going to go tell someone. I
can't believe there
was
people who were just like, what is happening? Holy shit, I'm calling whatever authority there can be. Like, I cannot imagine that people in this situation didn't immediately break down and be like, because, man, I get a little bent when somebody doesn't put their fucking grocery cart back. And it's not even my job. It's not even my job. And I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? You don't leave a grocery cart. Like, you can roll into somebody's car. Like, I get a little upset.
Right.
Like, can you imagine if I'm sitting in a room with somebody and we're like, yeah, well, we certainly don't want the Democrats to find this. They're lighting the fucking, like, Oval Office on fire because they want to.
From now on, all of our documents are going to be printed only on Matchlight brand paper. Matchlight brand top secret paper.
It's like a magic trick, man. It's like so many different magic tricks. He's pulling secret documents on his fucking top coat. He's got a fucking rabbit made of fucking secret documents he pulls out of a hat. It's insanity, man.
What's going on?
I mean, like, tell me, Tom, when we started the podcast, even just go back, like, because Obama was president for 4 or 5 years while we were doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Just think about what the fuck would have happened to him.
Oh,
if a single one of the controversies, one of the 1,000 controversies during the Trump presidency would have happened while Obama was in office.
Yeah, he would be killed.
It's unreal.
Killed.
Unreal, man.
Yes.
Well, in my scientific opinion, you're a terrible liar.
Tom, did you hear about George Santos this week? George Santos is
is he the guy who campaigned about his pants being on fire?
It is amazing. The dude is such a liar. What
did he say that was true?
Week,
is he really George Santos?
Seriously, this last week, so much has come out about this. Some people just randomly started. They randomly started doing some after he's already elected. So he's already elected. He's going to be sworn in 19,
like an hour,
22 days or something, right? And he's going to be a House member, and he ran against a Democrat, won. He's a Republican, and he literally lied about everything, like lied about all this stuff. And they found out that his degree isn't real, and that he lied about, where he gets money and all this. I mean, like a million things.
He lied about where he said his mom died in 9/11.
His mom died, and
his mom didn't die in 9/11.
Mom died around the holidays. He just lies about all kinds of. He lied about a whole bunch of shit. But here's what I don't get. If you're somebody who's going to work with little kids, you got to go through like a pretty rigorous background check, right? If you want to drive a forklift, like if you want to do a forklift, you got to take drug tests, right? You got to only for poor people do we have a vetting process, right? Only for people with low end, like jobs that don't pay a lot, right?
You're not wrong.
But if you want to do anything in this, I mean, especially really powerful shit, like be one of 500 people who vote on something in this country, one of 500 voices who get to decide and shape policy in this country, we don't have a process to vet you. We don't have something we could be like, you know what? They got to go through like a really serious background check before they do this.
Yeah, I don't understand. The press failed, opposition research failed, his own party vetting process failed. Did nobody check out anything he said? This guy stood in front of everybody and he said things like, you know, I am the American dream. I worked my way up. I had this job and that job. I went to school for this and that. My mother died and none of it is true.
Yeah.
Like nothing he said is true. It's all literally nothing. And it's unclear whether or not he'll face criminal charges right now. It seems like he should. This should be fraud.
Yeah.
Like if you stand in front of the American people and say, these are my qualifications based on these things I'm saying about me, which are true. And what I hope sincerely is that he does go to jail for fraud, because then I want to see motherfuckers like Herschel Walker who stand up and say, here's my badge. I'm a fucking cop or I was a cop. And it's a fucking, you know, Woody Woodpecker badge or whatever he got out of a cereal box. They got to go to jail.
You know,
stop lying to me.
It's the only way that you're going to be able to curb this problem, because what people found out when Trump ran was you could just say whatever you want and nobody cared.
Right.
And Trump lied constantly in office.
All the time.
Like, I mean, very rarely said a true thing. Very rarely said a true thing. So he lied constantly. And I think they learned from him. And when there is any checks and balances, there's like, they look at you like, the audacity.
Yeah.
How dare you check up on me?
Right.
He said he was Jewish, Tom. And then when they said you're not Jewish, he's like, yeah, but I said I was Jewish. Eli made that joke like 4 years ago, man. It's like a 4-year-old roast he did. Seriously, man.
Oh my God.
He said he was Jewish.
I didn't know that one. That one I'm just learning right now. Did he really? And did he use the excuse I said I was Jewish?
Yes. I'm not kidding. I know it sounds funny, but I'm not kidding.
That's insane.
It's insane. And the thing is that they get away with lying, and they should not get away with lying.
No.
They're lying on the biggest job application you could possibly lie on.
Yeah,
you
man.
would get fired for any other job if this happened.
And you know what? That's a great point, because I know that you can go to jail for that shit. That is fraud. If you submit a resume that says, like, if I submit a resume that says, you know, I went to
engineer or something.
Right. Yeah. Or like, yeah, I got a degree from, you know, Harvard Medical College and I'm a fucking, like, you go to jail for misrepresenting your fucking credentials.
You go to jail.
Fuck this guy.
You go to jail.
Fuck this guy.
You go to jail.
We need to start holding these guys really, truly accountable.
You're right.
If we do that, we'll get better people. We will get better people because we'll scare away the liars.
You've got to
We
make
will
this.
frighten these motherfuckers. We have to, they got to fear repercussions.
Couple of things you really have to do to reorganize and reinvent politics in this country. You need to make it so that they cannot benefit from being a politician while they're in office at all. And you have to make their life an open book. Make it so they have no privacy. Make it so they have nothing. Every transaction's transparent. Everything. I should be able to look at what Nancy Pelosi bought on her bank account. That's what I want to see. I want to see everything. I want to see everything laid bare. Make it so your life as a public servant is public, and suddenly you have all these people who want to keep a bunch of shit private out of the running.
Yeah, you know,
out of the fucking running. Make it so it's so your life is so transparent, there can be no questions. There can be no, oh, you colluded with somebody or whatever. There can be none of that.
No, couldn't happen.
Make it so that it's impossible for it to happen, because what we're winding up with is liars and cheats and people who are stealing from us, and they're getting in the most important position in the country, deciding policy in our country, and we're letting them do it.
Yeah, we make it too desirable to be a politician.
We very much do.
We really, I think that's a great point. We should make this job a pain in the ass.
It should be a pain in the ass. You should want to do it, but only because of the love of the wanting to do it.
Right.
To help other people.
It should be something that you just like altruistically are like, you know what? I am willing to set aside so much that matters to me in order to do this work.
The problem, though,
also that I won't want to do it forever.
Yeah, but that's the only thing. Is the difficulty, I think, is that then you might wind up, and as I talk about this, you might wind up with people who are only wealthy who can do it. Very recently,
yeah, that's true.
There was a guy who was he's the youngest person in Congress. I don't know if you saw this. And he posted a story and said, I can't afford rent because I don't have he's like, I can't find a place that I can get into because they won't accept my credit report.
Right.
Because I don't have good credit. He's like, now in a couple years I will, but as of right now I don't. And so like, we're talking about housing. Let's get this, here's a guy who's elected to one of the highest offices in land and he can't get housing near the Capitol. Yeah.
So
it's a big deal. And he's even saying, people are coming to him and saying like, well, then why did you want the job if you can't afford it, right? It shouldn't be a job like that.
It should be the opposite.
It should. I'll be honest. They should have to live in a dorm. They should 100% have to live in a dorm. You should be like, I don't think you should have your own place. It should be like, you know what? We have the women's dorm and the guys' dorm or whatever, or however you want to split it up. They have like townhouses. They have to live with each other. They should have to live there. It should be like a fucking camp where you go and you go away camp and you don't get a chance. They should sequester them. They should really rework how they do this because, man, these people, they wind up in these beautiful homes. They go out to restaurants with people that are influencers who tell them what to think, and then they do it.
Yep. It's become a job that's so desirable that being a lifelong politician is a goal.
It's a goal.
It's a goal rather than like somebody says, look, this is an onerous, difficult thing I'm going to do as a civil servant, as a gift to my country. Very few people who enter the military stay in the military for life.
Yeah.
Because it's not great.
Yeah.
There's enough benefits to get you in when you're young. And then, it's not a life most people want to keep forever. A very small fraction. Most people get in and get out.
Bounce.
I think politics should be kind of similar.
Yeah.
Like it should be like, yeah, all right,
It's either that or make it random. It's either that or just make it fucking random.
Like a jury selection system.
Seriously, like a jury selection system where 6 months out, for 6 months out of your life, you may serve as a congressperson. I'll tell you what, I'll take my odds. I'll take my fucking odds, man. You might get you might have like a physicist up there and then you could have just like a regular Joe and you could have fucking a crazy Trump guy, whoever. But you know what? I'll take my fucking odds with that. If you're just going to do random people versus people who are actively gaming the system, I'd rather have
active gaming.
I'd rather have the fucking devil I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We make the job of being a politician too desirable and the barriers for entry are too low.
Way too low.
Way too low.
Way too
low. I really think that, if you apply for, there are many jobs in this country where if you apply for it, think about just trying to get into an elite school.
Yeah.
An elite school, you have to basically be not just good, but just exceptional.
You gotta be exceptional, man. Exceptional.
Like we are not hiring exceptional people for this work.
We are not. No, we are not.
There's only 5. Like think about how large the student body is at an exceptional school like Harvard. It's more than 500.
Yeah.
It's more than 500 people at Harvard. But we have 500 sitting Congress people in total making these decisions between the House and the Senate. And we don't require exceptional people to take those roles. We should require exceptionalism.
And exceptional people don't necessarily rise to the top. Elon Musk is a perfect example.
That guy's
that guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's an absolute fucking monkey.
Yep.
You would like look at him like walking around. There was a call he was on. I don't know if you heard this, where he was talking about how they had to rewrite all the code on Twitter.
I did not see
And
this.
so he's on this call. It's like a public call where a couple of people can call in, and they were like, this guy was talking to Elon Musk, and Elon was like, yeah, you guys just need to rewrite the stack or something. I don't know anything about coding. But one guy's like, well, what's wrong with it? And then Elon couldn't answer the question because he doesn't know. And then the guy starts laughing at him like, you're an idiot. You literally have no idea you bought a thing and you don't even know how it works. And you want to take it all apart and put it back together. You don't even know how to do that or if that's a good idea.
Oh my God.
But it's like, you don't have to be exceptional to excel in this country at all.
Right.
You can fall face first into it, man.
Yep.
Trump is a perfect example. Elon Musk is a
great example.
These are people who fell face first into this stuff.
Yep.
You don't have to be exceptional. And, we don't require it. We should.
We need to.
So that's going to wrap it up for our YouTube broadcast this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. And come back next week. Be sure to join us for our live streams. They happen Thursday night at 9 p.m. And you can always check our feed down below. I think it's below where you're at now. Maybe it's on the side.
Look under the butt.
Over here. Not sure. Yeah, it's near the crest. And you got to get it a little moist first. In any case, It's around here somewhere. It's in one of these directions. And then you can like find other stuff.
I think it's up, down, left, right.
Select A, B, start. But anyway, join us there. We do live streams. We have a lot of fun, and you can always watch the live streams after they happen too. But we're going to catch you next week. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.